outsourcing. What are some positives and negatives with outsourcing? Yeah.
One of the biggest positives is the company doesn't have to pay the workers as much.
Okay, so it can benefit the company as they are able to make a bigger profit because they can save the money that they're paying to employees. All right. Any other positives? Yeah, Charlie.
Oh, it's like more efficient.
Okay, it can be more efficient. What are some negatives with outsourcing? Yeah.
Less quality.
Less quality? Okay, anything else? Yeah.
If it's like someone with a thick accent, they might be difficult to understand as far as services go.
Okay, so there can be a communication barrier. If you have someone with a thick accent, then it might be hard to understand them if they're a tech support, if they're trying to help you through something. Yeah.
So like if you're, you might have management issues. So like if your company, if you're in the U.S. but you have your workers out in India, it might be hard to manage them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It can be hard to manage them because you are far away from them. You're just basically handing it over to some business in India who is trying to manage the company. It's like a business, almost like being just contracted with another business. Okay. And the guy that I showed from the video, his name's Thomas Friedman. He wrote a book called The World is Flat. By that, he's not a flat earther. He's not saying that like the world is literally flat, but he's saying that the playing field is more even for people in India and people in the U.S. For workers now, the technology has made it so that they can have some of the same jobs that Westerners had before. So he's saying that this is good for the world, that it will lead to competition. Other economists have highlighted, like, well, they're going to be competing with U.S. workers, but the owners of capital, the actual business owners in the U.S., they are going to be making a ton of money, while the average worker in the U.S., if their job's going to India, they're going to be making far less. So some economists argue that outsourcing leads to greater wealth inequality. Okay, and then we wanted to look at the other question. How does disease spread in India? Trash? People? Sharing things. Did we look at the slums and highlight that kids go to the bathroom basically just wherever they want in slums? So basically, and so that leads to lots of roaches, lots of rats. That leads to all kinds of disease. People get sick from the water there. What was that, Kevin?
Probably because the kids use the water.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Does anyone know of a current event? I'm going to show you at least one for today. Okay, so on the SAT now, there's going to be the regular test score, where people are tested on the regular academic subjects they were before, tested on things like maybe reading comprehension, writing, math, but there's going to be another score that reflects their social and economic backgrounds. So the two scores will go hand in hand, and they do that, and they say that it will be able to indicate a student's resourcefulness to overcome challenges and achieve more with less. So for example, if a student grows up in a poor neighborhood, and there's a lot of crime there, let's say they get like slightly above average, let's say they score higher than like 75% of test takers, then you have someone that grew up in like a well-off family, they had a safe neighborhood, and they score higher than 75% of test takers. This would indicate potentially that the one that grew up in the more disadvantaged situation is more resourceful. They were able to achieve more with their situation. And so colleges will be looking at the two scores hand in hand in the future. What do we think about this? Does this seem like a good system? Does this seem fair? Yeah.
I think it's going to make a nice difference for people, because now it's not just like you go into a test and if your background doesn't really help you with that, it's nice to know that they might understand it a little bit more basing off your background.
Okay. So basing on background, some students might help. Yeah.
So, I think it's good to like reward people for making the best out of their situation, but I feel like you should do it in a way that might prevent somebody else who has a different situation from getting the same thing, even if they have the same score, you know?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So we've discussed a lot of current events where schools put out like these kinds of articles where they say they're going to be taking into account all sorts of different situations, and you know they're considering a lot of things. But I think that this one's a little bit over the top because you know I feel like a lot of people could still manage well in not as good neighborhoods as just normal ones. So I don't know. I'm not super opinionated about this, but I feel like it's just they're taking a lot into account and they could be saving more time just trying to educate their students.
Okay. So one highlight this says that this dashboard score will not include a student's race. So it's different than affirmative action. Is that better than affirmative action? Because you can have, I mean, so for example, if Barack Obama's kids or LeBron James' kids, or even someone that we don't know, let's say there's an African American doctor, say I have a man of color who's a doctor, and his kids are not going to receive any advantage just based on their skin color if they grow up in like a good economic situation. How
Why
do we
should
view
they?
this in comparison with affirmative action? Do we view this as better, similar, worse? Yeah.
I feel like it's better because I don't really see a need or like see why the people of color should be, I don't know, getting like better, higher education or whatever. I don't know, like what you were talking about,
Okay.
like how they have more things than other people.
Like why they can get help in their college admissions? Is that what you're talking about specifically?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Any other thoughts with this? And I can imagine, so third period when I explained this idea, there were a lot of students that spoke out against it and said they didn't think it was the best. I would imagine if I were teaching in like South Detroit, or if I was teaching in a different area where you had a lot of the students living in extreme poverty, they would probably say that this is a good thing. Oftentimes we view the things that will benefit us as something that's positive, and we view the things that won't benefit us as negative. And part of why this is being implemented could potentially have to do with the fact that you had like celebrity parents and like really wealthy parents that were discovered to be trying to help their kids score high on the SAT, trying to pay their kids' way into elite universities. So this is trying to make it so that those types of families wouldn't maybe have the same advantage that they have in the past. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and watch Invictus now. So this is a rugby movie. It talks about apartheid. We have a worksheet.